Hey folks, welcome to Rudros Entertainment and Into the Inklands. The third set of Disney Lorcana is finally upon us. We've got a lot to get today, so I'm just going to jump right into it. There's going to be a set review of this set. Two things of note. First, I will probably skip over cards that don't really have text unless there's something really worth talking about, but there's a lot of cards to get through and I want to save time and my voice, so I'll probably skip over those. Two, this is first impressions. I've tested with a very, very small few of these on Pixelborn, but for the most part, this is just first impressions, reading them, so if stuff ends up being great or terrible later and I was wrong, no big deal, just having fun. But yeah, I haven't tested with any of these, so maybe in testing, some will play very differently, but this is just, hey, reading the card, this is how they sound like, right? Oh, and then finally, I'm actually just going to save all the locations at the end, and I'll go through all locations at one time. Let's get into it. First, we have Baloo. I wish he wasn't uninkable, especially since he has no attack power. Like, I understand it. You put him out, you can bring him in, exert it, and then if he immediately dies, you just gain 2 lore. So he essentially is a guaranteed 2 lore, and he soaks up an attack. Maybe that's worth it, but man, like, did he need to have no attack and be uninkable? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to see play or not. Bernard is almost kind of like a bodyguard in a way that... he comes out, and then so if he quests on his next turn, you get 2 lore, and then you can ready something else, so you can kind of protect something from being challenged. Maybe if you're playing Lemon Lime aggro, you just in time your Cusco on turn 3, and now Bernard can ready the Cusco so it can't be challenged. Again, he still can't do that until turn 5, so it'd be kind of nice if he had bodyguard, but he's kind of interesting. Chernabog sounds strong, although there are some matches, depending on how it's going, where you aren't discarding much. So I would be curious to know how low his cost gets, because obviously you don't want to pay 10 for this. His body and his stats are incredible, and his questing is incredible. And then it's kind of funny because he keeps you from milling out, if that's a concern. However, he obviously then makes his next copies of himself more expensive. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. He can become 0. He can absolutely become 0. Is that worth it? Maybe there's something there with like lanterns and docks to just try to really get him cheap. Very curious to see how this one goes. All the puppies, obviously just cute different arts. He's just a bodyguard, blank card. Her upgraded form, Kid, is really cool. I love this just kind of blank, hey, prevent you from challenging me. Really good, maybe in an aggressive deck where it's just, like a Mufasa deck. Hey, not only do you have to get rid of this Mufasa, you can't even challenge and kill him now. So good luck with that. That card seems really cool. I wonder if you even really want the shift, because the shift is so early. Maybe if you're doing aggro, maybe if you're doing really low to the ground aggro, and then turn 3 they're getting ready to hit you with a hook or an Eric, and you just, nope, can't challenge me. It's not going to work on you. So it's a cool card. Lucky isn't a very appropriate name for this dog. If you can get lucky and you draw 3 cards off of that action effect, like, holy moly, that's incredibly powerful. I hope this is good. I would love to see a Dalmatian deck, and obviously you just hit 3 Dalmatians, draw them into your hand, and you go wide with characters. He's going to get, everyone's going to get a lore buff, so I hope he's good. I don't know where he'll fit outside of that. Again, maybe a low to the ground aggro, although he's an uninkable on turn 4. But I like the idea of being able to refill your hand is quite nice. Minnie is good just because she's a singer. I've learned not to underestimate how good that keyword is, and her other effect might be relevant sometimes. Same with Miss Bianca. On turn 2 for the singer deck, now you can sing a 4-cost song. I'm not... Off the top of my head, I don't have all the songs memorized, so I'm not exactly sure like what your target song is for that, but still, just singers are strong. Blank, bodyguard, blank. This could be useful if you need to. It's like kind of not quite support, but yeah, it's essentially it. If you need to challenge something, can shrink it a bit. It could be useful. Yeah, that one, it's hard to... These minus attack effects, the only one I've ever seen to really be crazy is the Queen, and hers because it's such a swing that you take 4 from them, give 4 to yours, which basically says win any challenge and take no damage. -2, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about patch, you have to see. Perdita sounds awesome. Again, would love to see a Dalmatian type deck where it's just... You're all on these 2 costs. Would be very good with something like Rockstar Stitch, where now all the 2 costs draw you cards. That makes me want to build that deck right now. I'll have to do it after the set review. That sounds so cool. Piglet, actually, he's one of the few ones I saw very briefly on Pixelborn. And again, in these low-cost character decks, he's better than I thought. Just a 2 cost that can essentially quest for 3. Yes, it's a bit conditional, but again, if that type of game plan where you're trying to go wide with characters, it's either going to work or it isn't. If they be prepared, grab your swords, they wiped your board out, and nothing was going to save that. So he just puts on extra pressure for that. So I like it. Pluto, I absolutely love. This is what I'm going to be experimenting with a lot. Really want to get out big Pluto on turn 3, which can be done with things like little Pluto into a lantern, into dock, or just some combination of that. And then you can, so if you've got a lantern and baby Pluto uses his effect, lantern uses its effect, turn 3, you can put out big Pluto. Now, he doesn't have anything to protect, so the dock is a bit better than that, but still. And he's a cool little card early, too. Really good with something like support, where you just want him to challenge a lot, because he just heals himself up anyway, so I love the art. Pongo, again, all these character costs, it clearly fits in with the what's it called, Dalmatian deck, and that's just not a terrible effect to have. Since he's coming down on turn 3, you could theoretically use it twice on turn 2. Again, I like that there's this, it seems like they're trying to give at least some of this aggro a bit of an ability to refill its hand, instead of just, okay, I try to win in 4 turns and then I'm just completely out of gas. So it's a cool card. I like to see it. Another villain-based card. Villains haven't really been a thing. There's still that Hades from set 1 that wants to see a bunch of villains, so maybe this can go in with that. It's clearly a really good partner for that card. Will it fit anywhere outside of that? Probably not. Rolly is very cute. I love this art. Support, again, could be useful for something like Pluto, or if you do need to challenge with some of these other cards. When you place a character, look at the top of cards of your deck, reveal a character. Okay, so it's Be Our Guest on a body, which isn't terrible. If it wasn't uninkable, I'd say it's quite good, but uninkables, you just never know. Wendy is blank, but quest for 2, that's not bad. 99 puppies, again, sounds great if you can go wide with a bunch of dogs. That maybe suddenly, how much would you need? How much lore do you need to get off of this to make this worth it? I would guess 3. I think you want to, for a 5-cost uninkable, I think you want to get 3 lore. So you need 3 characters that can quest out. Any more than that is just awesome. I think if you're only getting 2, though, that's not really worth it, especially not 1. So yeah, card that just gives support, and we have something like this in the first set, never saw play. Heal What Has Been Hurt is nice just because of the card draw. Again, the straight healing is never really seen a whole lot, but the card draw is nice, and it's a song, so you could sing it. And yeah, even if you don't have a target, just sing, draw a card, not bad at all. Quick Patch, very good if you're helping to repair your locations. Bare Necessities is quite good. I have gotten a test with this a tiny amount, and using it to break combos. So very popular right now is the Steel Amethyst Jafar combo. Shift Jafar on turn 5, sing Whole New World, gain 7 lore instantly. And so on turn 4, if a Jafar's on the field, I've used, all right, Bare Necessities, and yep, there's that Whole New World, and just rip it out of their hands. Or if, a steel deck is getting low and you think they're getting ready to Whole New World, or it's about to be turn 7 against a ruby deck and saying, actually, I'm not going to let you use that. Be prepared. Yeah, good card. Very good. Especially as a song. Banish aside, remove to 2 damage from each of your character. I mean, like, a board-wide heal is cool, and I like the art. It's just, yeah, healing just hasn't really been a thing. So when healing is a thing, I think something like this could be very good. Heart of Atlantis, I think, is too expensive. Lantern, I mean, is the amount of times you really even need Lantern, I don't know if you ever even need it. It's just nice to have sometimes. And I think, but Lantern is good for really low to the ground stuff that you can make a Pluto completely free, or you can make one of these 2 costs only costs 1. Now, granted, Heart of Atlantis, maybe it would be good in this Dalmatian deck where you're focusing on these 2 costs. So having a card that just says, hey, play one of them for free every turn, that doesn't sound bad, but like Lantern, it's just, you have to wait so much longer for it. But maybe that's worth it. Maybe in that deck that is worth it. So this one I'm gonna have to test, not sure. And the wrench is just a really good repeatable way to repair your locations. Moving on to Amethyst, the strongest color in the game. Alice, I like the art. Her effect is very specific. It's too expensive for just a single exert. I mean, maybe good against like a puppy deck if all they've got is the 99 puppies or whatever. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure how that would be beneficial. Or I'm just trying to conceive like the situation that would matter. Chernobog Follower seems like the wrong side of Cusco. That it's a 1 cost. You essentially could play it, immediately quest, break it, draw a card. I don't know. Maybe that's just like the kind of low to ground tempo you want. Ideally, like Cusco's kind of nice because similar to a Grammatala, they have to get rid of it eventually. Otherwise, it's just going to quest forever. But then when they do, you get to draw. Whereas here, if they can just pop it with something easily on their turn, if they challenge it, then you don't draw the card. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe just a turn one, whoop, easy card draw. Maybe there's something there. Diablo obviously works with Maleficent. Nice theme there. Genie, quite good actually. I again, Uninkables always make me I don't know, but 3 is a heck of a draw, and with a 5-cost body, he's not going to be exerted when he comes in. That you can immediately quest. You only get 1 out of him, but you draw 3 cards is quite a big draw. So yeah, he seems very good. Hydros is basically Elsa, slightly worse stats but more lore, which is nice. Will maybe fit in the Titan deck. Iago's an evasive. Jafar is basically Ursula's Cauldron on entry as a one-time. You're probably going to potentially use him as a shift Jafar. This Jafar is bonkers. I really wish they had worded it differently so that it didn't work with a whole new world the way it did. Like, I think, and again, this is one of those things that, like, I think shift, it throws out the power of this card. Because if you had to pay 7, and then he sits there for a turn, and then on your 8th turn, now you can get extra lore from the card draw because he's evasive too, so you can't even just challenge the guy regularly, and 5 willpower is nothing to sneeze at. But again, if you had to wait till turn 8 to do things with him, I don't think it would be as bad. But turn 5, shifting onto another Jafar, immediately singing Whole New World and gaining 7 lore off of that is just bonkers. It is so strong. And even without a Whole New World, getting card advantage from friends on the other side or a rabbit, just anything that you're suddenly getting this passive lore. And again, he's evasive. How do you deal with that guy? So absurdly strong card. This one, if it had more attack, I'd like it more, but just a rush with 1 attack. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if the meta is dominated by stuff with 1 willpower, maybe that'll be worth it. But yeah, stat line reading it isn't crazy. The brooms. This sounds fun. I would like to see a broom deck with all these brooms because clearly they go together. You got your rush one. You can shuffle brooms back to the discard. There's the broom. I think it's Mickey's workshop or palace or tower. We'll check the locations later. So yeah, these sound fun. There's enough brooms now. Maybe there's something there with the Sorcerer Mickey. It sounds good. I have to see it in practice. So again, both of these are uninkable. Did they need to be? I like the mini Elsa effect, but I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical of those. Carpet sounds fun, especially if you're very location heavy. And he's evasive. It's nice, so hopefully he doesn't die. All the Magicka cards seem pretty neat. It's interesting she got 3 full cards out of it. Characters. Return shows an item with cost equal to or less than this character's attack to its hand, so a 3 or less, which should be most items. There's not a ton that go above that cost. There's a few. There's not a ton, so essentially you can reset items, which, depending on the deck, is just only so good. Like, obviously you don't want to give them a popsicle again. Let them keep drawing deeper. But you are happy to bounce something like a lantern, or maybe even a spell book. You know, they at least have to pay another 3 to get it out there. This one's cool too. I would like to see an item deck around this. Shift this on turn 5, immediately quest, and then, man, imagine doing this with the Lucky Dime, because it's the cost of your items. You'd gain 7 lore. What's interesting though is that she doesn't have lore on her own, so without that, she doesn't get anything. So you have to build around it. It sounds like a fun build around though. This Maleficent I've gotten to test a little bit. Pretty cool. You can get a lot of card draw off, and then it's a little weird because you have to have damaged characters to shift all that damage off. I kind of used it as a combination with Pluto. What you can do is at the start of your turn, if Pluto's been damaged, his effect will go to heal. You'll draw the card. Her effect will go, and instead of healing Pluto or first, you just have Maleficent move his damage onto someone else. So that was kind of nice. Maybe good with something like a Gothel with the guaranteed damage. I don't know. It's a cool effect. I just wonder how consistent that will be. Or how much, again, in general, in the good decks, rarely does damage just hang around on characters. Usually they're just getting 100 to 0 in a single turn. So we'll see how that plays out. Mama Odie sounds really fun. Move, again, you're moving your damage counters around. Although she's an uninkable version of this. And then she has to wait to turn 7 with that. So, I like the effect, but Maleficent just seems like a way better version of this. And I can't imagine you're going to have so much damage counters you want to use them both. Pua is fine. The fact that quest for 2, I think, is going to make people want to target it, and then it just, hey, back in the deck. Not bad, not bad. Rafiki, not terrible. Like a 1 cost that can hit. He's basically like a hook. Why does Amethyst get Challenger as well? Like I know it's had it before with the Fairy Godmother. Just my goodness, this color just gets every keyword in the book. I don't know how often the hyena thing is going to come up. That might just be more flavor than really anything. But yeah, hitting like a hook. And he doesn't die to anything that does 1, like, or not 1. He'll still die to most of the things a hook will die to. But yeah, he's solid. He's quite solid. Stratos, again, cool in the Titan deck. I'd be curious to see how effective that is. But he looks cool. Firebird's a blank. Heavy hitter. Queen's a blank. Treasure Guardian sounds neat. 6/6 is obviously great on a 4 cost, but it's uninkable. And you have to have a location to do anything with it. Like, that might be asking too much, because if you play him on turn 4, you can't even do anything with him until turn 5, which technically, I mean, he couldn't do anything in there anyway, and you have to already have the location in place, or be able to play one on 5 and move him to it. For some stats, I don't know. Doesn't seem worth it, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to say he's not good, but we'll see if I'm wrong about that one. The freeze on Ursula seems nice. Again, she's on curve stat wise. I guess she'd technically be a little under curve depending on your 3 cost. She was uninkable. I'd like her a bit better, but move 1 damage from chosen characters. Again, cute, but usually actions like this just don't see play, especially if they don't draw a card. It's just better to go in on the Maleficent. Speaking of drawing a card, or play It Calls Me, draw a card, and then choose up to 3 from chosen opponent and just shuffle them. Why would you want to do that? It's up to, so you don't have to. Why would you want to put stuff from their discard back into the deck? Is there a card that would benefit from that for you? Isn't that just pure benefit from... I guess. So the one is if they are running something like a Snow White or a Hades where they can recur stuff from their discard, I guess you could technically cut it off that way. The Hades says, actually, you're not. I know you're going to try to get back into the Mufasa with your Hades. I'm going to prevent you from doing that. I don't know how often that would come up to make this card worth a slot, and Amethyst already has so much card draw anyway. I don't know if it really even needs this, but it's interesting. It's an interesting idea. I like the art with the boats. Again, this one sounds cool. I like the idea of it. You basically set something up, you give something challenger. It's only +2, but it's uninkable. Did that really need to be uninkable? It requires them to have a character, you to have a character who can challenge, and have this card. Like, I don't think that need to be uninkable. Bosses on a roll is solid. Look at top 5. Set it up, and it's just instant lore gain. Instant lore gain is always worth a look, especially imagine doing something like this with Ursula, the singer Ursula. What if you look at 5, you don't like any of them, so you put them all on the bottom, get a lore, and it just repeats again, and you can really set up how you like. Or even if you, 3 on top, 2 on the bottom, it repeats, and then now you check the new 2. Okay, do I want to keep them as well? And maybe I'll move that one actually way to the top, and I'll draw it next. So that card seems strong. I saw the lamp a little bit. Will be a bit dependent on, what you have in play, but it seemed okay. A 2-card draw if you have Jafar is quite good. Again, it is uninkable, but it's a 2 cost. It's pretty low. So if you're going in on a Jafar deck, this is a pretty easy way to just get ramped card draw. Although, again, it's in the element that already draws so well, so is this better than like a Friends on the other side or just a Rabbit? Because it's conditional, whereas those ones are just like straight draw. So it might not see play just due to slots, but it's an interesting idea. Sorcerer's Hat is obviously a no-brainer with Ursula's Cauldron, since you know what's coming up, and you can guarantee you hit it every time. Is that a cheaper draw? It's technically a cheaper form of card draw, wouldn't it be? Like versus the Magic Mirror. So Magic Mirror costs 4, take the top card off your deck, where the Ursula's Cauldron is free, and then this... you're paying 1. So now granted it's a combo, but still, no one even plays Magic Mirror anymore. And this is inkable, so yeah. I don't know if that's the best thing you can be doing with a color as strong as Amethyst, but clearly that combo is going to be very good. Chubby I would like a lot better if it was just any time he's at a location he gets 3, but it's only when he moves. So he just gets +3 for that single turn. So essentially you need to play him, have him ready to attack. I mean, a 6/5 is a Maui, which is nothing to sneeze at, but yeah, it's just so much setup. Curse Merfolk is great. Yeah, it's uninkable, but this is very good. The discard deck in particular, it didn't really have a great turn 1 option. You know, turn 2 Bucky, turn 3 Prince John, or you basically had to put out one of the Flynns or like a Hook or something just to kind of, but you didn't need to do that. This is, and it quests for 2, so they have to get rid of it. Yeah, this is a very good card. Very good card. He's fine. He's got a base, so he's basically blank. Old Jetsam combo. Big hitter, but he'll die at almost anything. Excuse me. This one, I don't know if you want this in discard, because usually you have a bigger hand if you're playing this in discard than your opponent. But I guess if you played it at the right time, it'd be the turn 4 play. So instead of like the Jafar Snake, Floodborn triggering Bucky, or the Flynn triggering Bucky, it's kind of, yeah, he's worth trying out. My concern would be you're going to have more cards than hand. You just make yourself discard, which I guess, you argue, well, you just don't play him, then you just ink him. So maybe he's a good backup plan. This Helga, I actually did see someone use this briefly. It was quite strong. If you have something like a Robin Hood or just any way to damage something, questing and then 3 damage is a lot. And again, combined with what other damage you're getting something with 4 willpower, 5 willpower. And then being a 4/4, there's nothing to sneeze at. Like if you challenge her, she could very easily take out whatever challenges into her. So that's a strong card. Here's obviously a baby Helga for her to shift onto. She basically has Cheshire Cat tag. There's not really much reason to attack her too as a 1. Interesting. Jetsam will gain ward. God, he's just a 2 cost though. Like, I know he would become a 5/2, so they're both essentially 5/2s. Decent beaters, and to be fair, and maybe Emerald doesn't have very good attackers in general. Like that discard deck, it can fall behind just because John and Bucky and Flynn, they don't hit very hard. So maybe having something like this that hits for 5 on that low cost is worth it. He's solid, especially against low cost stuff. Tiberius Rourke, he seems very nice. I got to see someone use him on a video. The game definitely needs more ways to take lore, especially given how much there is. I wonder if this might be a little too slow. And you still have to lose a character for it to happen. Like there's a deck in Final Fantasy called Monks, which is a cool idea, but yeah, you have to like constantly sacrifice your monks to do something, and eventually you just run out of power and ammo. So I wonder if there's a way to make this work with like the Dalmatian puppies, something that you can keep recurring so you can keep getting your characters to die. Interesting. It's an interesting card. I'd be curious to see it work. Baby Milo. King Milo. It doesn't sound very good. 3 lore is great. Obviously a shift is great. And it's just if he's banished, so it doesn't have to be by a challenge, or they hit him with a Dragonfire, it bounces all their characters. Like, maybe against the right deck that's good, but man, there's a ton of characters with entry effects that I'm sure that player would be like, oh, please, yes, give him back to me. Let me replay him onto the field. So, yeah, a little concerning, especially being a 7 uninkable if you don't have the shift. Morph is insane. Just hiding what you're going to play with the shift is crazy, because it could just be, that was, if there was a weakness of shift, it was that it was advertised that, oh, there's Aladdin on turn 4/3. He's going to try to shift into Big Aladdin on turn 5, and Morph just preventing you from knowing what's coming is insane. And I didn't consider just how much deck space it frees up. If you're trying to do big Tinkerbell, you normally had to slot in a certain amount of small Tinkerbells so you could potentially set up that shift. Now you don't need that. Now as long as you have any Floodborns, Morph just says, I will take care of all of them. They're like, that's kind of nuts. So this card seems very strong, possibly busted. Peter Pan, see, he can't even hop between location to location. Maybe they thought that'd be too strong if he just went whoop, 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 and gained a bunch of lore. It probably would have been. Yeah, he's okay. I like Prince John. Becomes it's a little slow. It's 5 uninkable, and if you get ahead of them, then he's not doing his effect, but at least he's getting 2. So, God, his attack is wretched though. I wish he wasn't uninkable. If he was inkable, I think I'd like him a bit better. Robin Hood, insane lore value, but just big body. Shenzi gets +3. Thank goodness, because 0 is wretched. You may, and it's just on challenge, so it's the queen effect just on a challenge. So you have to play her with locations, but she's a 3/6 who draws on a challenge, which, I mean, the willpower is clearly great, but I don't know, 3, and she can't attack till turn 5, and it means you have to use your turn 5 moving her to a location. Great against small decks. If they're going aggro, they have a bunch of weenie bodies. This is a fantastic card. If they're playing bigger stuff, this can't take out. I mean, it'll take out a goat, I guess, or a fox. Maybe that's worth it. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think of her. It's just evasive. Skippy's just got ward. Starkey, big old pirate. There's kind of a pirate set, so maybe good with those. At a location, he gains ward. He costs 5, though. That's a lot for a 3/3. He's like Ray. He has the same stats as Ray, but he gets less. He has the same cost as Ray, same stats as Ray, less lore than Ray, evasive like Ray. And the ward is nice, but he has to be at a location. Like, I don't know. Again, maybe if there's a big location-based deck, he's worth it. But this Ursula is very good. Any kind of discard. This Ursula is busted. Busted. The kind of amount, thank goodness she's not a singer and she can only sing 3 costs or less. But a card like Let the Storm Rage On, which at times felt, the 2 damage just isn't enough. So many people are running these 3 willpower bodies, but when you duplicate it and now you're dealing 4, so you kill something and you draw 2 cards, just like, oh my goodness, friends on the other side drawing 4 cards. And then why does it shuffle it back into the deck or put it at the bottom? Why? Like, why can't it just be discarded? I guess maybe they're worried if there's something that can recur a song, then it wants you to do it over and over again. I just like they need something that just exiles. Okay, you use it, it duplicates, it's exiled, it's gone from the game. You can never touch it again. Like, granted, I know if it's on the bottom of your deck, like the odds of you actually seeing it again are very, very low. But just why? Why not just get it out of the game entirely? Wildcat seems quite strong, as green didn't really have a way to deal with items. So the fact that this guy, and he's evasive too, so they have to either have their own evasion or commit some kind of hard removal to him, because he can just sit there and for once per turn take an item out. That seems very strong, very good against item decks. A 1 cost that gets 2 lore, not terrible. If you have a cheap location, you can set this up on turn 2. I've seen worse. Here's, again, if you don't want to go on the Wildcat. I think this is a weaker version of it. Yes, it can be sung for free, which is nice. I mean, wouldn't be terrible with an Ursula. You have to be going against an item deck specifically, but Ursula singing that and just killing 2 items for free is pretty solid. Find My Way is very thematic. I love the art. I love the theme of them moving to a location. How good is that going to be? That I don't know, and the attack power maybe could be relevant, but... Strike a Good Match is kind of interesting. You're still only really drawing 1, so part of me wonders if this could have just cost 1. I know that they think, well, but you're getting a look at, a second card, so I don't know. Again, maybe if you're singing it for free with Ursula, it's really good because she's just doubled it up. They keep making cards like this that want you to play a ton of actions, and so far in the sets we just haven't seen that be relevant. So until I see that be relevant, I'm going to assume this won't see much play. Robin's Bow I would love so much more if it was inkable. The fact that it has to, why does it already have to be damaged? Why? I mean, whenever one of your characters named Robin Hood quests, why not when a character named Robin Hood damages and just pair it with that other Robin? So Robin Hood, he damages, now it readies up, you shoot it again with, the bow. I would love to see a deck around this because it's a cool idea, but it seems clunky and it's uninkable. No one likes uninkables. This one, 2 less for the next action you play this turn, and then when you're ready to get rid of it, you just banish this outright, draw 2 cards, and then discard a card. Yeah, I don't know. It's cost 4, it's uninkable. I'd have to go over all the action. Like, what actions do you want to play with this? Is it this one? Has Set My Heart. So you put this down on turn 4, and then you can immediately banish chosen item. That's not terrible. Do you do Strike a Good Match? I mean, that's not terrible, getting that for free. So maybe there is some low-cost stuff that makes this worth it. I do like that, if it's not doing anything else for you, you can just banish it. But Interesting. Not sure what to think of that one. Here we have Ruby, big removal element. This Ariel seems incredibly strong, particularly the fact that she gains whatever character gains evasive until the start of your next turn, so it lasts through your opponent's turn. That seems very strong. I'm not sure where it goes. Singing decks don't usually tend to run Ruby, but just it clearly has a lot of potential, and she's evasive herself. He's a blank. Hook is kind of like a light version of Scar from last set. He's a little cheaper. He's actually inkable. His stats aren't quite as good, and he doesn't have Rush is the big problem. So he's going to come down turn 5 and just sit there. It's no Maui, that's for sure. And Maui can... Well, no, Maui can't take a 5 and hit, but this would also still die to a Fox, which is kind of unsettling. A Fox and a Goat. Yeah. Seems a little lame. She just doesn't seem great. 2 cost uninkable, Reckless. Hey seems okay. This again, if you're on the location theme, zapping a bunch of lore from them seems nice. Hydra seems cool. I love the theme. I like that he's a beater. I kind of wish he was a 6/6, 5. Like, I don't know. They wanted him to die to a hook, I guess. The nice thing is, like, he can go and challenge or just quest, make them challenge him, and then, you know, he hopefully trades with whatever challenges him, and then he gets to shoot something else. So he's kind of like a 2-for-1. That's cool. The only problem is because he's 6, usually at that time, a lot of spot removals coming into play. Hades, Lady Tremaine, Be Prepared, Dragonfire, Elsa, freezing him. Like, all this stuff that deals with him without dealing him damage. And if you can deal with him without dealing him damage, he's just a blank card, which isn't very good. Pretty good against steel decks, though. You know, if the only way they can deal is through damage, yeah, he's going to be a terror. Hawkins is obviously great with his specific location. I don't remember the name of it. He's clearly built for that, and he's very strong for that. And then you got the baby one. They really value the losing lore thing. Like, did this need to be uninkable? A 3. I guess he's a better Aladdin if he's inkable, so maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they did it. Is this way he's at least there's a quote unquote downside to him over Aladdin. Madame Medusa, very good against the right thing. Excuse me. Very bad against my Pluto deck, which is annoying since Pluto only has 3 support or 3 attack power, so she's really good at getting rid of that. Against the right kind of deck, there's not like can't hit a goat, can't hit a fox, can't hit a Maui. Versus Tremaine, you know, if they put out just a beast, tragic hero, or a Tinkerbell, those are far too big for her to hit. So I don't think she's quite to Tremaine level, which is a bad place to be when you cost the same amount and you're uninkable. But against lower decks, the fact that you get to pick, again, against a deck that goes wide, like think of a puppy deck, the fact that you could choose, I think Perdita doesn't have that much attack, so you can just say, yep, I target the Perdita, she's gone. That is very good. This one's like, I kind of appreciate the cute theme that it ties into Hey, but that's very specific. I mean, a 5/2 stat line isn't terrible for a 3 with Reckless. It's kind of like a Gaston, but shoot, Gaston could be inked, so yeah. Not a big fan of this one because of the uninked in this card. I was so excited when I saw the whale, but it's like, okay, big 8/8, awesome, except it can't ready at the start of your turn. You have to pay 2 to ready him, and then he can't quest, which means he's only a 1-coster. Like, so you're paying him, you bring him out turn 7, which is, again, the same turn as Be Prepared, where you could wipe the whole board. And instead, you're playing this big body who has to wait a whole turn. He can then attack, and he'll kill essentially anything he attacks. There's very little that's going to survive that. And then you've got to pay more. Like, why? I just don't understand that. Right? I mean, I get it. I get that technically, so like turn 7, you play him down. Turn 8, you could attack, ready him, attack, ready him, attack. So you could wipe out a whole board that way through a challenge. It's just, generally the game just doesn't play out that way. You know, what made the Scar kind of dangerous from last set, and it's not like it saw a ton of play, was that he had Rush. So turn 7, he could come down and immediately go in. Maybe they weren't expecting it. This, you're very much advertising, all right, I got this big whale sitting there. Milo, another location one. This one kind of has ties to the old Amber Moana, where she readies the other characters. Again, very tied to locations. I'm just, and sorry to repeat myself, I just don't really, until I get my hands on the locations and play with them, I don't know how viable it is to make a whole deck around locations. Like, I think they will be strong as like a 1 or 2 of that are just kind of sitting there, or maybe they have a specific effect, but having characters that are tied to, they have to be at locations to get their effects. I don't really, I have to see. I don't know how good that's going to be. Another Moana, just evasive, no text. They really like tying Peter Pan to Tinkerbell. I mean, a 3/3/3 with Rush. I like that he quests for 2, but you also have to have a Tinkerbell. Is there a Tinkerbell that low cost that can be in play on turn 2? I don't know. Seems kind of lame. This Peter Pan's obviously a bit better. It's evasive. And if he challenges a pirate character, he doesn't get hurt, which is awesome. So perfect if you happen to be going against a pirate deck. I don't know how often or if ever that's going to show up. But without the shift, 6 is very expensive for this. Eric is quite good. Yes, he's uninkable. He wants to quest for 2, and again, they want to kill him because he's questing for 2, and then you get to choose what to kill. So if they've got a bodyguard, you can just take that out. If they've got something the bodyguard's protecting, you can just take out the thing the bodyguard's protecting. So Eric seems quite nice. Scroop seems okay. Like I don't know. Like, he needs to take damage to be on par. Then a 5. That's a 5/5. He quests for 2, but yeah, he is a pirate technically. Maybe it can work in a pirate deck. I don't know how good a pirate deck is. Simba, if you wanted to run Ruby aggro, really good card for aggro. It's basically Pinocchio from last sets. The same card, same stat line, lore, and everything. So I don't know if Ruby aggro. Maybe be good in like the Mufasa deck if you're doing the Amber Ruby version there. Yeah, he seems solid. He only costs 3 if you have Peter Pan. Other than that, he's just evasive. Stitch. Did this need to be uninkable? Like, yeah, it's got Rush, a 3 Rush on 2. That is nothing to sneeze at, but he's going to die to whatever he attacks. I don't know. Maybe that justified it, but I think he probably could have been inkable. Obviously, Nutsy and Trigger you can play together. Webby's blank. That just seems incredibly situational. You do gain instant lore. Ruby having access to anything that's just instant lore, again, is something you always have to be watchful of. If you are doing the location thing, that's the type of card you want to play. Man, if you can get a big character there with a lot of lore, like some of these this Simba, woo, that's a lot. And it can be sung. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. So let's see. Well, what if you Simba there, you quest for 3. He can't sing it because he would be exerted, but maybe there's something there. Yeah, anytime instant lore gain, maybe there's something there. This one is like, it's like, I like the full wide board ready. That's cool. That's a cool effect. Uninkable's not cool. And do they have to take damage? I don't know. Like, maybe there's something there with Amethyst. Maybe some other lesser version of Ruby Amethyst where you use that in combination with the Maleficent, and then you can shift all the damage around. It's a cool idea. I'd be surprised to see this see play. Voyage, very good if you're going in on locations. Maui's hook. His fish hook, to be exact. Shapeshift, you can use it for free. Starting your next turn evasive repeatedly is very strong, although obviously you have to pay for it. And just buffing anything with a challenger. This sounds strong. This sounds like that's versatile. I don't think you necessarily care that it's great if you get it for free, but I don't think like, oh, I don't have the Maui, so I can't use it. Like, that versatility of, I can turn something that normally couldn't challenge into a killer, or I can protect something that can't be. And items are somewhat hard to interact with too. So yeah, Fishhook could be quite good. This one I thought was a lot better when I first read it. I thought it was just like anytime something got banished, you got to draw a card. But it's only during your turn. So I thought it was anytime like a challenge happened and a character died, you got to draw a card. I was like, that's really strong. But it's during your turn if one of your characters, so you have to challenge one of theirs. If they challenge on their turn, you don't get the card draw. If you got it both turns, that would be crazy good. But yeah, without that, doesn't seem as strong. 2 more colors to go, almost done. Audrey obviously seems very good with an item deck. You would want an item you can abuse. Maybe Fishbone Quill, maybe that's asking for too much. Maybe something like the Lucky Dime. Just some kind of item with a tap effect is obviously where you want her. This is your typical just kind of evasion card. She can't challenge very much, so she's kind of strange to me. The Huey, Dewey, and Louie combo, I'll just talk about all three of them because they clearly go together, are pretty cool. I like that they, most of them quest for 2. And Huey is obviously a huge payoff if you can get him. You want to go turn 2 here, turn 3 there, turn 4, boom, quest. You only need to quest once, right? If he quests once and draws you 3 cards, that's absolutely worth it. Obviously, that's going to have to line up in your hand. But it's a cool idea. Flint Heart seems a little better than Captain Amelia because, again, usually if you have the your turn evasive, you're doing it to challenge evasive, and he at least hits for 3. He quests for 2, so that's nothing to sneeze at. Genie's just a blank. Gramatalia, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one to your hand, rest on the bottom. Yeah, so it's Sisu's effect, but it's one time when you play her for the same cost. Man, that's probably better than Sisu, right? And I really liked Sisu, and the advantage of Sisu was that potentially she could do it over and over again, but she very rarely survived to do that. Whereas here it's just instant, and then it sets you up to shift with the big Grammatala, which is cool. I don't know how good this card is, but I like that there's some kind of payoff for ramp just within the ramp itself. That, hey, just by ramping cards, you're getting extra lore. So that's such a rare thing to happen. I wonder if it could have been 2 lore. Maybe 1's a little low. And obviously 7 is very slow if you're trying to play this naturally, but it's cool. Gyro could be, you would think popsicles would be the main thing with him. You put the popsicles on top, you're always replaying them, drawing them. You essentially could just loop them with Flaversham, which is pretty cool. That, let's see, if let's see, if you had one in your break zone or your discard, you exert him, put it on top. If you have one on the field, Flaversham breaks that, you draw 2. You're going to draw into the popsicle reset up for next turn. Yeah, could be something there. Could be something there with the way you can repeat that. King Louis, he's a big guy. No text. Kit can be shifted. Great questing potential. The shift is obviously really strong. I like that he doesn't lose the ward from his little version. That he keeps that. Turn 3, questing for 3. 5 cost with ward, good, and then you're ready to sing songs. This little combo could be pretty potent. That could be nice. Maid Marian. The entry's okay. She's a bit expensive at 5. This one's pretty cool. I like the ramp of this. Whenever you play a song, you put the top card of your deck and your inkwell face down. Good ramp. You can't use the one right away, unfortunately. She is uninkable. Really cool art, too. I love the mysticism she's got going on there. Pluto's just a blank. Good old Rufus. It's like a bigger Tala, but it probably... You usually have already ramped at that point. Like, turn 5 is very slow. I wish he quested for 2. I think he could have quested for 2 at that. Scrooge McDuck. If you can play the Lucky Dime for free, you're golden. I don't know what the item cost is that you want to play for free. Probably a 3 or higher is going to feel good. Like a 2 or like Popsicle. You don't really need to play a Popsicle for free. My only thing is I do wish he hit harder. He's a 5 cost uninkable, and he wants you to banish characters, and he specifically has to do it. But he only hits for 3, so maybe you use him with his nephews to give him support so he can do it. But obviously the big thing is you want to play the Lucky Dime. This Scrooge is obviously very good with any of the items. I love the art there too with him. Got the scuba gear on. That's really funny. Yeah, this one, the Queen, is solid. You don't draw the cards, so maybe that won't be enough to actually make her see play. It's just kind of like a big, peak effect. Tinkerbell sounds kind of fun for items, but she's a 5 cost, like, and some of the items like popsicles, you don't want them to go into the inkwell. You want them to banish to the discard so you can then keep pulling them back. Yeah, so she's probably too slow. Wendy, I just wish had 2 health. I know it's ward and support, but I don't know, just 1 health is just so low. A Tinkerbell shot to the board will take her out. It's a good thing this draws a card because, yeah, generally effects like this aren't seen play much. Friend Like Me, I have no idea what to think of that. The downside being that even if you sing it on turn 5, because the ink is exerted, your opponent gets to benefit from it right away. Maybe good against, maybe an aggro deck that doesn't really take advantage of heavy inkwells. Yeah, it seems like such a double-edged sword. I'm excited to try it. I hope there's a cool deck that makes it worth it. But yeah, just giving your opponent first crack at that much advantage just doesn't seem like a good idea. Or how far I'll go, however, is very cool. I wish it was inkable, but one card in your hand and you ramp up on turn 4, especially if you can sing that, seems very good. Like for the Bianca Singer, yeah. This one seems solid. Excited to work with that. Repair is just one of these many heal, damage spells. Heal up damage, again, that hasn't really been relevant. One of your character's quests, you may look at the top card of your deck, put it on either the top or the bottom of your deck. Anytime a character quest, that's not terrible, and it is cheap. It is cheap. So if you get a 1 cost turn 1, turn 2 you put this down, you immediately basically have the Yzma effect over and over and over again. That's not bad. That's not bad, especially if you just want a massive items for whatever reason, a Tamatoa, like, that's not bad. Repair also could work with like the Grand Pabby deck, as it is heal within the blue color. I just thought of that. Heart of Tefiti is essentially ramp. It's like, is this better than Fishbone Quill? They're both inkable. Put the top card of your deck in. So Fishbone Quill takes from your hand size, right? Which sucks because if you don't have anything to refill your hand, you're just dipping into your own hand size. Heart of Tefiti pulls it off the top of your deck, so you're not hurting your hand size, which is better, but you have to pay for it. So even if you drop this turn 3, your next turn, you're spending 2 of your potential 4 ink to ramp, and you can't even use it right away. Like, I like the repeated nature of it, but I can't see a situation where this is better than Fishbone Quill. You'd have to have, I don't know. If someone can show me the way in Heart of Tefiti, please, because I can see the potential, but in practice, it seems like there's better options. Lucky Dime, our legendary item. Choose a character yours and gain lore equal to their lore. Man, imagine doing this with Tamatoa. That's what I want to do. Tamatoa. Oh, not only is he quest for, 6 or 5 or something ridiculous. Yeah, you gain it. Think of doing it with a bell. Oh, my goodness. So imagine you can... So how much would you need in one turn? You'd need 10. You'd need 12 in one turn, but you could play Bell, Lucky Dime, immediately use it, gain 5 lore. That's cool. There's a lot of potential here, and I hope... I'm going to experiment with this thing because it seems really fun. Scrooge's hat seems, again, it seems like it's built for an item deck, but I wonder if just something like Maurice's Workshop is better, where it helps you draw deeper. If it was like all items, I think I might like it. Like, I don't know. So what do? You play this turn 2, immediately exert it, and then you play a Popsicle for free. Not terrible. I just wonder if there's better items. This one seems cool. Yeah, again, if you're going on the item list and you are running one of these locations, that just the locations gaining resist, that seems pretty strong. It is a bit expensive, but if you know you can take that time, like... And I do like that because it's an item, again, that's a lot harder to interact with than something like a Cogsworth, that just by existing characters have resist. This seems like this could be pretty strong. Alright, finally Steel. He's just a body... He's resist, but essentially just a body. Gustav the Giant. So a 3-cost 6/6 is obviously insane. However, he enters exerted and can only be readied if another one of your characters banishes another character, specifically in a challenge. Now, in theory, you could do that turn 3, right? If you've got a Prince Eric on the board on turn 2, you put Gustav down turn 3, Eric banishes something, now he's ready. However... he doesn't quest for much, so he's clearly meant to be a beater, and 6 that early will take out pretty much anything. But then you'll also need to have someone re-challenge to get him to ready up again. I feel like the game's already so quick and so streamlined in what it wants to do that very rarely do you have time for like shenanigans like this. Maybe if he readied any time a character just got banished, so like let's say you cast a smash and that kills a character and he readies off of that anyway, then maybe that's a little better. But even then, like, if you're facing against a Surfer Mini, he can't even attack that because it's evasive. So I don't know. It seems like too much trouble. I don't know if I've ever seen like a stat stick, essentially something that has really high stats for a low cost, be worth it when they have all these drawbacks. So it would be cool to see him play, but I can't see that happening. Hades, obviously, if you're doing a Titan build, you're going to run Hades. Looking at all the Titans, I don't know how good they are, so I don't know if this will actually be worth anything, but it's nice that they actually at least got some support. A Challenger on a 4-body, never bad. Can't challenge till turn 4 still. Hitting for 4, not terrible. Again, she does still die to like a goat and a fox, so that feels really bad. This card seems really cool if you're going in on locations. I love that the resist and the lore just compounds. It'd be fun to have like 5 locations. And he's questing for, at 6 every turn, and then he's got +6 resist. That'd be really neat. Just a bodyguard. This John seems fun too. I loved the old Three Musketeers like bodyguard deck way back in the first set. It's probably not really viable, but it would be really fun to do something like that. More bodyguard. Again, he can attack evasives, although he only hits for 2. I don't know how good that is. Clearly a good shift target for this little John. Lithos, I actually kind of like these cards like Lithos and Hercules where they don't have much willpower, but they have resist 2, so you need a little more to get them. Hercules, however, you needed something that hit for 5, or at least 4 to put any damage on him. And, or what, you needed, did he have 3 health? So technically, if you wanted to kill him in one shot, yeah, you need something that hits for 5. Lithos, man, any 3 attack gets rid of him, even with the resist 2. So that worries me a little bit, but I do love that he can buff the resist. He can just buff himself. I don't know what that accomplishes, but yeah, just give him resist +4. See what that does. This Mickey also looks fun. Again, if you have a bunch of locations in play. Mickey Mouse, play any character for free. So he comes down on turn 4. He's completely uninkable. Next turn, your ink kind of doesn't matter because, again, you'll play any character in your hand for free. Now, being 1 willpower with no attack, I can't imagine this card living that turn, right? You're only going to play him. You're going to get 1 single play off of him. Is that worth it? If you drop a big Goofy, the 9-cost Goofy, immediately, maybe. Or maybe there's something here with a bunch of bodyguards so that they can't challenge him. And, obviously he'll still die to any breeze, any stiff breeze, any kind of removal. But maybe there's something there. It seems too one and done for me. But maybe, again, if you can hit that, if you've got it in your hand and you're dropping an Elsa or a Mufasa or, again, the Goofy, whatever you want on turn 5, maybe that's worth it. So curious to see how Mickey does. Hopefully this card doesn't become busted. You're just like, oh my god, I'm tired of dealing with these 9 drops, 8 drops on turn 5. Please get it out of here. Location base, and you don't have a cat in play, deal 1 damage to this character. Yeah, again, like, it's cute. It's the man, but why? Like, why does he take self-damage? Just nice he quests for 2. Mufasa is, again, just a big body. Very big body. Nala is a blank. Pyros. You can ready stuff, which is cool, and he's a decent attacker, which is nice. Obviously, you can't do that till turn 6. If there's something you can abuse. Of note, he doesn't prevent readying the chosen character. He doesn't prevent them from questing. Usually when you ready something, it can't quest that turn. So if you could quest for a lot, like with a Mufasa, do that, ready him, quest again. You could get a lot of lore out of that. That's pretty interesting. So Razul's a 3/3 for 2, but only while he has no damage. Not terrible. At the moment he takes a hit, then he's just a 1/3. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he's basically a snake, except without the advantage of the bounce. Seems kind of meh. Robin Hood's your standard body. This Robin Hood seems pretty solid. You'll get characters banished in a chest, so you'll get a card draw off of him if he dies to a challenge. And then if you're banishing something, you get 2 lore, which is good. But again, he only hits for 3. I just don't think 3 is a great place to be when your goal is to banish stuff. Again, if you're going against a super low cost deck and everything they have is 2 willpower, 1 willpower, then he's great. He's probably fantastic there. But Sheriff of Nottingham, he's obviously great with the infinite, repeatable combo, infinite combo with the green relentless beast. Outside of that, I don't know how good he is. Like, would you just play this in your standard Bucky Prince John discard deck? He doesn't cause the discard himself, but that deck does have issues challenging people normally, and he is getting a little extra damage for every time you do that. Is that worth it? It's another uninkable, though, and that deck already runs so many uninkables. I don't know. Right now, he's obviously meant for the infinite combo with the Bayou, but I don't know if he's worth it outside that. This Simba is cool. But he can't be shifted, so you gotta wait till turn 7. He does at least do it on entry as well. Man, I don't know. Draw 2 and then discard 2 on turn 7. Unless you have a full hand, you might just be picking up 2 and throwing them out immediately. 2 damage to anything is really good. Kind of wish I could hit a location as well. And then he has to banish, which he only hits for 5 on a 7 cost. It's like it's fine. It's not amazing. Yeah, I don't know. He just seems slow. He seems kind of slow to me. Banishes another carrying challenge opposing character. Yeah, can't challenge. Which again, cool kind of situational. Why do they keep making these Simbas though that have less attack power? Like, if you want him to be a beater, make him a beater. I could understand maybe again if he could be shifted on and he attacks early. This is like Hans, except he's got to be at a location and he's more expensive. Along came Zeus. Clearly good effect. I don't know if it needed to be an inkable. Maybe it did, because 5 is a lot of damage, and it can be sung. That's true. It can be sung, so maybe it did need to be an inkable. But there's not a whole lot that hits both characters and locations, so hitting both seems very, very good. Ba-boom is probably honestly worth it over Fire the Cannons. I know Fire the Cannons only costs 1, but... So yeah, you're paying 1 extra, but the fact that it's inkable alone over Fire the Cannon seems worth it, and it can hit locations. That's really good. Olympus would be that way. That's amusing. It's only when challenging a location. Not bad. Seems a little too situational to be of use. Again, why do that when you can just do Rise of the Titans? Just banish a location outright. Steel already has good item break. I think Benja is better. He's the same cost. It gives you a body. You can threaten to quest for lore. But still just the versatility of maybe you don't even need the Benja now. Because, okay, I'll just have Rise of the Titans. This is my location and my item killer. Really good against something like Scrooge McDuck's Manor or any of these locations that have huge willpower stats. Being able to say, nope, goodbye. That's kind of a Ruby effect. It's kind of surprising that Steel gets that. Whenever one of your character banishes another character in a challenge, you may pay 1 to draw a card. Hook obviously gets another challenger. A lot of the hooks have challengers anyway. It's a cool idea. It kind of reminds me of old school, like Beast Mirror. I say old school. It's only 2 sets ago. Where it's like you can get this card draw, but it's kind of tied to this condition. I think, unfortunately, the game's already surpassed that. And this is probably a bit too slow than what we want to be doing now. But it's a neat idea. I do like that this goes to the start of the next turn. But I don't know, like 3 for just 2 resist. Like there's actions that do stuff similar to that. I like the art. This would be really good if you could actually respond in this game. So like someone was going to challenge one of your characters and in response you pop the gizmo suit to give them +2 resist. But otherwise just doesn't seem that great. Map Treasure Planet seems very good if you're doing location heavy. So make that location deck and use all those location cards. Speaking of locations, let's quickly wrap up with all of those. All right, we're almost done. Just to save a little time in my voice, because I've been talking for quite a while, I'm going to skip over all the locations like Neverland, Forbidden Mountain, they don't have any effects. They're just, they have a movement value, which is kind of irrelevant for them, but obviously relevant for certain characters. But essentially, they don't have any effects. They just, generate lore, so... Those are all just, they are what they are. We'll have to see what locations are. Pride Lands sucks, it's uninkable, but 7 is a lot. Buffing all your characters to get extra health is quite nice. And then I like the idea of using it with the Simbas and Mufasas and everything becomes cheaper, just like as a passive. That seems quite strong. Tiana's Palace, I actually ran into this once on Pixelborn already, and it just threw me for a loop because it was a turn where, I'm going to challenge this thing. I can't actually. I have to hit the Palace first. That being said, 3 uninkable, and then it's 2 to move them there was a bit pricey. It does have 8 health, which is very nice, but so... It could be as a nice like late game foil, like, to win the game or to keep them from winning the game, I have to challenge your characters. Oops, they put down the Palace. Now I can't challenge them. And a lot of this is just I have to see how locations play out, period, because already too I've kind of gotten a mix. Sometimes they seem incredibly strong, other times they seem kind of worthless. So just have to see. Queen's Castle I did like quite a bit. This one has proven very good in a deck I was testing where there's just some turns, there's just not a whole lot else to do with your ink and you have leftover ink. And so spending 1 to move them here, not only does it lure 2, which is very good, but the card draw, I know it costs 4, but it ended up being worth it. And it was really nice for those turns when, hey, I actually don't have a whole lot else to do with my ink this turn. Sorcerer's Tower is clearly meant for the Broom package. I have to see it in play. Wow. Well, to really know how good it is, you don't have to use it with the brooms, right? You could just use it for characters to get extra lore. Maybe that's worth it. Maybe just that alone. Anything that gets you more lore usually is always worth a look. So just all your characters suddenly having extra lore seems like that could be pretty strong. Fang, Ward, and Evasive are great effects. You can't put it out till turn 4, which means you're not moving people till turn 5 to actually get them there to protect against it. If you're going second, you drop this turn 4, and turn 5 they drop Maui, you can immediately kill it. You see, that right there is like, okay, so how good will this even be? Because by the time you get people there, the Ward and Evasive, but then they can just challenge this out from under you. Like, there's so many factors with these locations that, yeah, I really need to see them play. Cusco's Palace essentially turns everyone into the original Cusco, where if they get banished, they kill the challenging character. It costs 3 to move there, which is very expensive. Like, it's a cool effect. I would imagine, though, they'll just take Cusco's Palace out, right? They're going to just take the palace. Like, if they really need to keep their characters, they'll just take the palace out. I think the idea is to lock them into this, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't phrase, where it's like, well, if you don't hit my characters, I'm just going to quest for lore and win. But by hitting them, you're losing your own characters. So the potential is clearly there. However, it does seem very expensive. I think it's our most expensive move cost, moving 3. Agrabah. I will just mention this one briefly because of all the ones that, like, don't have text. It does have 2 lore, which is quite good. Jolly Roger, it's pretty cool that all the characters gain rush, especially if the pirate deck's a thing. Surely you're going to be playing this because they get to move for free. Otherwise, if you have to play a character with, without rush, I don't know, let's say you're playing a 4-drop and then you need another 2, so you got to be on 6 ink for that. Sounds kind of expensive, but for the pirate deck especially, maybe this would be really good to combine with something like the Simba that wants to challenge, but he doesn't naturally have rush. So maybe there's something there. And the RLS Legacy, obviously perfectly made for Jim Hawkins for his deck. Any character gaining evasive there is really nice, can help counter enemy evasives. And then it's nice that as long as one person's there, so ideally if Jim's there, it comes out, he's there for free. Now it's only costs 1 to move your characters there. And it gives you 2 lore. Like, the potential of this card is clearly there. Just how good will it be, and will it be worth the slots? That's going to be the big thing. Bell's House. Characters, you pay 1 less for items, so simply move a character there. It means popsicles are free. That's pretty cool. There's so much support for items in the Color of Sapphire through Bells and Maurice's workshop. So it'll just be a matter of finding what's the best one to have. This thing only costs 1, though. There's no passive lore, so there's not a ton of incentive for your opponents to attack it unless you're really item heavy, but it might just be too much. Maybe you just don't need this much level of item support. I'm not sure. McDuck Manor I do actually like quite a bit. Again, not only for the 2 lore similar to Agrabah, but just because it has 9 health, and so it will take them a while to beat through that. Montanui. This one I like the concept of, that it helps you ramp as characters are there. So it's turn 2, which means the first time you can get someone there is turn 3, and they do have to die in order for it to go. I don't know. I've tested it a little bit, and it feels fine. It's not reliable, that's for sure. Like, it doesn't replace a Fishbone Quill or a Winnie the Pooh or even a Mickey Mouse Detective that says, hey, this ramps you up. This is like, well, it can ramp you up if you've got... If the things line up for you. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this not show up just for slots. Maui's Place of Exile. Pure Resist is never bad, but man has really low health. Nottingham doesn't have an effect. And Bayou is, again, the Sheriff Relentless Beast combo is the main draw of this. Beyond that, would you want to use it? Maybe. It's a very cheap way to just kind of scry for the deck, right? If you put out a 1-cost turn 1, let's just say a Naked Captain Hook, and then turn 2 you play this, you move him there, and now if you, like, let's say you got a bunch of Uninkables in your hand, could help you scry. Yeah, it might not be a bad way to just kind of cheaply go through your deck if you're not using it for the infinite combo. So there is Into the Inklands, all speculation. Hopefully it's a really fun, good set. I am definitely concerned about the level of power creep we've seen in Lorcana so far, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. We'll see how locations end up being. Let me know what you think. What cards are you looking forward to? Which ones are you scared of? All that jazz. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to rest my voice now. Until next time, Take care.